Here, welcome back to the Convo Couch, everybody. Pasta Jardula here.
And I'm Fiorella.
And Johnny Sue spinning on the ones and twos. Oh, there he is.
Pedro.
Hey, Joe. You got to hold him lower than the couch. See, when you hold him lower than the couch, you can see right there. That's the perfect spot.
He's a horny llama.
Fam, why are you making him a horny llama?
Because he's a horny llama.
Okay, whatever. He likes to play poker with me. He was really cool yesterday.
Well, you shouldn't be playing poker, fam.
All right, fam.
SWB audio capture not registered.
And 2 more sections on Rokfin only, right? Is that how it's going?
1 section, right?
1 section on Rokfin?
Yeah.
Oh, Johnny, are we doing yours? We're doing that on Rokfin only?
There's some things there, right?
No. Just
It's close.
no, it's not.
All right.
We said we were going to include that one in the
Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah.
we are doing the 4th section
on Rokfin only.
on Rokfin only. So get on over to Rokfin, ROKFIN, where it says we only have 55 right now. Guys, they're not hitting the subscribe button, the bell. It is also Thursday. It's a special Thursday show.
Yeah, we never go on Thursday.
But we
time.
are going especially on Thursday because we want to finish up the folder from yesterday, and we
Yeah.
are going to do so. Right now,
Let's-
Trey Wright jumped in the door.
Yes,
Rokfin,
thank you, Trey.
ROKFIN. Thank you, Trey Wright. We got Not a Sheep, James Evans, a lot of cool people.
None of
Not a sheep.
our viewers are sheep. I will say that. Our viewers are some of the smartest people. Like I said, when what's his name? Bender was
Matt Bender.
criticizing the chat, like, oh, your viewers are blah 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 blah. They hate anything that's, they call everything like shit libs but if it looks like a shit lib, quacks like a shit lib,
Smells like a shit lib.
it's probably a shit lib.
Shit lib.
I'm just saying. And our viewers know what's up. Okay.
So, guys, I just want to make a really quick comment about this one thing like that, because sometimes you know how we get, like, people say, oh, my language, whatnot, about the elitism. We called it, I think it was really popular when Bernie Sanders goes, it's an oligarchy, right?
Yeah.
Elitism, same kind of thing. We called it the predator class. Somebody said you have to call it predatory elitism.
Well, because you said on your debate, you kept saying elites. And the reason that criticism stands, it's because what these people do, a lot of these neo-progressives, is say that when you say elites by itself, it's an anti-Semitic thing, and only the right, because a lot of the right use the word elites only. And same thing with the deep state.
SWB
right? That's why
audio
we've explained
capture
on the show
not
what
registered.
the deep state is and what it entails and what that's all about. Because a lot of people hear that and they're like, oh, that's a right-wing words and blah, blah, blah. And they shouldn't. And we shouldn't care because these people, they continuously try to gatekeep the language, try to censor people from saying certain things. But I also believe in explaining what we mean and like what we're talking about. So for me, I've been saying the predator class more, or the 1%, or the people in power, and the elites just kind of gives them like something positive, like, oh, they're elites, because they're not. They're pieces of shit. They're psychopaths. They're sociopaths. You know.
The term oligarchy is okay for them because their savior used it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm done with the tone policing. But somebody said that a friend of mine, predatory elitism. That's what it is. Because it's a combination of both. These people don't, abide by the rules. The laws aren't made for them. We saw what happened with the whole Epstein situation. I stopped following that so much because I was so disgruntled and upset knowing that nobody would ever have to pay a price. They're above the system. The rules don't apply to them. And we'll kind of get to that today in our story as well, is about rules don't apply to people when they can have their own birthday parties.
Right.
And all
but that's
that
why
shit.
it's like, I don't know. I think elitism in itself is predatory. I think having somebody get different treatment of a higher status in general is predatory. So I think that's a redundant term, but whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you can say what you want. It's just I think sometimes it's better to explain what we say so people don't just tune you out right away. Because sometimes when you say things, they'll tune you out even if they just misunderstand what you're saying. Which is what happened with that whole, like, a little bit of capitalism, a little bit of comment. I know what you were saying, but to people who
SWB audio
don't
capture
understand where you're
not
coming
registered.
they're just going to be like, what is this guy saying? Like, this doesn't make any sense, because you can't really...
Yeah, it's more about the neo-progressives and the shit-libs tone policing. And they need to stop. But I'm done trying to explain stuff from their point of view. Because really, to tell you the truth, it's all about their little bullshit, bougie, fucking narcissistic ways, rather than dealing with the problems at hand. You know what I'm saying? We have to get deep down and deal with the fucking problems. So stop with the tone policing. And if you don't like it, that's tough shit. And I'll go through the ways of kind of explaining my ways as well. And listen to this one, fam, right here. Reeve Barker, it said, Binder's comment section is so depressing. So many MSNBC-like people who think that they are left.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of crazy because you had him, you know what I'm saying, arguing against going out there and fighting for Medicare for all. At the very end, I had him explaining and standing up for the ACA, which is neoliberal.
And incrementalism, admitting you're an incrementalist. And yet these people are still in his comments section. Reva's right. They're saying these are Nazi balls. They're grifters. They're aligning with fascists. Like, unless you have evidence that we're aligning with fascists, like, please. And evidence isn't a video that you took out of context about us being and covering on the ground what was going on January 6th, because we were there for Force the Vote, we were there for Assange, so we were there for all of it. Like, that's not evidence. Or having Magnus Pen video on our show, that's not aligning with fascists. Like, they have no evidence of anything, but they hold on to that because it's the only thing that will appeal to their point of view, right?
Yeah. I just hate the way they kind of what they consider fascists. You know what I'm saying?
They consider anyone that disagrees with them a fascist.
Yeah.
Anyone that doesn't adhere to what their ideology is a fascist. That's just not.
Yeah.
That's.
I think it was Glenn Greenwald on Jimmy Dore. He goes, "Well, wait, are you talking about actual Nazis, or are you talking about what they consider Nazis today?" Okay, actual Nazis.
Actual Nazis.
Going back to it, and that's the thing. Like, I had another friend who said he hates
SWB audio capture not registered
because they wag their finger at imaginary Nazis.
There's literally no difference anymore between them and the neoliberals. Really, like, there's really very little difference.
All right.
All right. So.
We're here, right?
Let
me get this up here for you.
I think we're starting with Assange.
And then working our way backwards?
What? No. We're here.
You made a new photo.
Okay.
No. It's right here. Yeah. All right.
Cool.
So we're going to start with Julian Assange. Next week, I'm going to have some people to come on the show to talk about the case in more detail. But yesterday, or 2 days ago, actually, ooh, man. So the U.S. Succeeded with the appeal in Julian Assange's case, meaning, if you guys recall, a few months back when we were in D.C., Judge Vanessa Barrister said that denied the appeal, even though she agreed with the ludicrous claims from the State Department. She denied the appeal on the basis that Julian Assange would be unlikely to survive. He would be in grave danger. She couldn't, pretty much she couldn't confirm that he would be okay. He would be alive if he was extradited. So on that basis, it was granted. The United States decided to appeal that, and of course, the appeal was granted because we live in an empire and we are just awful. The government, the state agencies want to make an example out of Julian Assange, and exert international jurisdiction over all of the press. And now, when you see this happening right as we are entering a very fascistic time in this country with what we're going to talk about later and the mandates, it really just shows you how important he is and how important the case of press freedom is. So Glory Jones wrote an amazing article. I wanted to highlight her
audio
and
capture
her article,
not registered,
on hive.blog. And her article was called "The Fight for Julian Assange's Freedom Horribly Dragged Out Again. Prosecution Granted Permission for a Full Appeal." And I'm just going to read a little bit of it so you guys know. The legal teams on behalf of the U.S. and Julian Assange met to decide the grounds on which the prosecution could appeal the decision in the Julian Assange case. On January 4th, Judge Vanessa Barrister ruled against extradition, notably based on the fact his life would be at risk if he were subject to the draconian U.S. prison system in his current and physical and mental state. Despite the fact that Barrister's decision actually ordered him to be discharged, Julian was whisked away back to the HMP Belmarsh prison while the U.S. immediately set their plan to appeal the decision in motion. Again, that's something that's rarely pointed out. He was supposed to be discharged during this time. He wasn't supposed to stay there.
He was supposed to be free, walking free.
Exactly.
After the decision on the main case.
Correct.
The main case was they wanted to extradite him to the U.S., and the judge said no. Of course, the U.S. came back and appealed, and then but he's supposed to be discharged, though.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, his bail was denied 2 days later.
Yeah,
So
they denied his bail, but under normal circumstances, he would have at least been free during that time. He wasn't even allowed to talk to his defense team, his family, etc. So 2 days later, Julian's bail was denied. As Pasta just said, he's going to remain in the Guantanamo. He was going to remain in what they call the Guantanamo Bay of London, Belmarsh, along with, of course, press freedoms. And she says prior to this morning, at that time, the U.S. prosecution was granted a limited appeal, meaning they could only appeal 3 out of the 5 grounds they put forth to the courts. So there are 3 out of the 5 grounds. She highlighted 2 of them. Here it is. The third is a district judge having concluded that the principal psychiatric expert called on behalf of the defense, Professor Kopelman, had misled her on the material issue ought to have ruled that his evidence was inadmissible. It could be said that his lack of independence went to weight rather than admissibly. The district ought to have attributed no or far less weight to his opinion as to the severity of Mr. Assange's mental condition than she did. And they talked about that part. And then the 4th ground is that the district judge erred in her overall assessment of the evidence going to the risk of suicide. So they could only appeal on 3 out of the 5 grounds they put forth to the court. And since the U.S. could not appeal on the grounds related to his health, their focus was to discredit Kopelman, the neuropsychiatrist who assessed Julian Assange, and to prove that the judge put too much weight on his testimony, which is basically what we just read. And so Kevin Gosztola had a really great breakdown of this on Twitter, and he was one of the few people, Taylor Hudak and Richard Medhurst were also access to this link. And he did a really, really in-depth breakdown, though. And let me just find the last part that they said. Let's see. This is a long thread, Johnny, but if you click, I'm going to go to the part where he talks about the last.
Yeah, Kevin Gosztola's tweet.
Yeah, Kevin Gosztola's tweet. All the way at the end. It's a good thread for everybody to read. I'm not going to read all of it right now. I would like to have him on the show perhaps next week to talk about this. But they talked about Stella Morris. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so at the end, I just wanted to point out
SWB audio capture not registered
by Kopelman because she didn't read his medical evidence until after she knew Assange had a partner. They're even bringing in his family. It's fucking disgusting. And just towards the end, I'm just going towards the very end when they're reading the decision. Because it just doesn't, when you put the tweet, it doesn't.
All right.
Okay. And so, okay, here it is. Lord Holroyd, in reading the decision, reconsidered and granted 2 grounds of appeal related to the neuropsychiatrist and risk of suicide that were previously rejected. The U.S. has prevailed in this first hearing, and it seems we will have an even wider ambit to challenge the district judge decision against extraditing Assange, including by questioning facts that were weighed by the judge. Tentatively, the appeal hearing is scheduled for the end of October. So that's when the next hearing is. And
so I thought the appeal was granted. So it was like an appeal to have a wider appeal.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. This is the first hearing, right?
No,
so,
because originally it was just 3 out of 5. So then now they can do all 5 out of 5 is what they're saying here. They can now appeal on all 5 grounds.
Correct.
Once they go back to court.
Right. So, and it's going to be October 27th through the 28th for the full appeal, right? Because initially it was 3 out of the 5. Now they can appeal on all 5 grounds. And this is the important date is October 27th through the 28th. I just wanted to read that last part that he had. And
SWB
so,
audio capture
so again, this
not
is
registered
because I mean, the United States has international jurisdiction over the free press. I mean, Julian Assange is an Australian. He's a journalist. He didn't do anything wrong. And again, if they make an example out of him, which is what obviously they're trying to do, amidst everything that's happening, all the censorship that we're going through, all the attacks on the free press, you see how bad it's going to be. You had this thing from Richard Medhurst, but before, Johnny, there was still a part on Glory's article that talked about his appearance, and I know he's going to mention that, but there was a part on her article right here from Tarek Haddad, who also had access to this.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Oy.
Okay. Can nobody hear me then?
No, they can hear you. It's just that there's a little message popping up every 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay. So I just wanted to read this part from Tarek Haddad. It says, Julian Assange attending today, hearing by video link from HMP Belmarsh. It is astounding how much he seems to have aged in the space of 6 months. Puffed up face and tired eyes, hair and beard growing unruly. Very sad state of affairs. And then here, Richard, not going to lie, I could barely recognize that it was Assange at first. I did a double take. Pardon the rash assessment, but he looks awful and old. The visible signs of prolonged torture and imprisonment. So, yeah.
So the whole thing I think that we have to pay attention to as well is, obviously they've been trying to get him to the United States to try him over here, in a military court under the Espionage Act where they can lock him up forever, throw away the key. I don't think he'll make it long at all.
Right.
A lot of people looked at it as a victory when it was denied, the extradition and stuff like that. However, they made sure they had an avenue which they can appeal the case.
SWB audio
How many
capture,
times can they do this?
not
Can they appeal the case again on different grounds and whatnot? Could they make it so they can knock this thing down the road to the point where Assange will just die in prison? In other words, the United States can send a message and say, listen, we didn't get him over here. We didn't get to try him in our courts, but we made sure that he rotted in prison. And it seems like that is the game plan if, in fact, they can't get him over here. In other words, this might not work to get him here, that might not work to get him here, but if I can maintain my relationship with my friendly government, and this is the U.S., I'm speaking as the U.S. military, with the British government, and I can keep him locked up so that he dies in the British Guantanamo Bay, so be it. So it seems like they're trying to do at least that, at the very least, to make sure that he will suffer and die in prison if they can't get him over here. But yet, they're going to still try everything to get him over here. Will it work? I don't know. So a lot of it seems theater, too, as well. The fact that they keep kicking this can down the road and bringing him back in for another appeal. So it's a sad state of affairs the way Julian Assange is locked up and everybody else who committed these war crimes, like George Bush is doing paintings and shit.
Obama.
And Obama and stuff.
And his little parties.
Yeah, so it's
yeah, that's
crazy.
I mean, that's the world we live in. And then people still want to argue about stupid things, right? They want to distract themselves with stupid arguments. So, I mean, to be honest, like it seems to me that the vast majority of people are being completely distracted with the whole, like, oh, these Nazis and the idiots fighting and I'm sorry, I call them idiots, like saying they're reporting on anti-vaxxers and going and trying to fight with these fascists. It's like, these people have no power, dude. These people have no power. Well, you're fighting and you call yourself an anti-fascist, but you're fighting these people for them not wanting to get vaccinated. Don't you think that's an authoritarian position to take, even if your ideology is one I would agree with more? Like, it doesn't matter at this point. And I just think it's, I don't know. I think it's gross. And I think it's crazy just how the humanity is tearing itself apart while the rich watch and laugh.
Did you see Chris DeShilis's tweet the other day? I think I told you. I think I read it to you. Let me bring it out real quick because it's kind of interesting to the point of what's going on right now. Here it is. Where is that? He said the Democrats went from my body, my choice to mandated vaccines, and from punch a Nazi in the nose to show me your papers really quick. And that's where it's mandatory vaccines, which was my body, my choice. Remember, we can do that. That was the whole thing.
It doesn't matter because my life's in danger. And
what you do depends upon my life. No, not really.
No, if that were true, that would be a different story. Maybe you could have an argument, maybe, but that's not the case here. No. We're talking about less than 1% of a death rate, first of all, and the vaccines are being found. We're going to discuss that later.
All right, guys.
I don't want to get us in trouble for that right now.
200 people watching on the YouTubes. How many we got on the Rokfin? About 55, guys. That number's been climbing every day, every show. We appreciate it. This platform allows us to say what we want, when we want. If you haven't checked out the interview with Max Kaiser yesterday, it's up on the Rokfin. It was fun. What was your favorite part about the interview, Jude?
Well, when I asked the question, like, about being a commie. Like, I was like, I'm the designated commie here, so this is the question that everybody on the left has. It's like, how does this benefit the working class? Like, how is this, how is as people who don't believe in the system of capitalism going to talk about Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin is inherently still capitalist, because we live in a capitalist system, right? The vast majority of the world functions in this system. And to many people from the left, the aspect is like, well, you're still relying on this monetary system, and also the wealthy can just come in and purchase a ton of it, and poor people can't. So how does this benefit? Well, the thing is, there are just more avenues for the working class to, depending on how they manipulate, how they use Bitcoin to make money, even if it's for a little bit. That's why I always say I don't think it's like the end solution. I think it can help some people in the working class. Yeah. And the reliance on fiat currency, we're never going to be at an even keel with fiat currency, with Wall Street, with bankers, with all of these people. We're just not. No. So this is an aspect where I think somebody who didn't have a lot of money probably could have invested in Bitcoin or can, and now all of a sudden, it goes up, and then you can benefit from that. However, I'm still not sure about the part where, if capitalism falls, if the whole empire falls, how is Bitcoin going to be used? And I guess technically it could be used in a new system, because it's just a currency. It could be used in any system.
Yeah, well, hyperinflation is always the problem, especially when you talk about Latin America. You have your own currency. Yeah. United States has its own currency. Shit goes down, hyperinflation. Now your dollars aren't worth anything, right? Now your dollars don't purchase anything. So now I'm a supplier. I get stuff and I get goods from overseas that I sell down to the people. Now at this point, those people who say, hey, well, I don't want your American dollars anymore to purchase the product. I want you to purchase it in Bitcoin. They have Bitcoin. They purchase it in Bitcoin. They sell to you in Bitcoin. You have a little bit more Bitcoin than everybody else because you invested earlier. Therefore, you now have buying power. And it's how, once again, its whole major thing was to get around the central banks, was to get around states being able to sanction people or withhold their money. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why it was invented. I mean, I'm very curious when, like what system, communists would want down the road as far as in today's modern world. Would they just want to get rid of fiat currency? How they would want to do that? And that sort of thing. There's so many discussions that have to be said when it comes to this situation. The best thing that Bitcoin has going for them, other than the fact that it's a decentralized currency, which nobody can touch, is the fact that it's global now, that it's all around,
right.
that people put their money in there and they grab it. It's not just U.S. They put yen in for it. They put lira in for it. What do they use in Italy?
What? They use the euro.
The euro in for it, so they trade in Italy that doesn't have their own, they used to have
They used to have the lira.
Okay.
Just like France used to have franco.
The franco.
But now it's all
euro.
The euro.
Isn't there parts of Europe we can go to where they are still using, like in Ireland, I think you were telling me?
No, in Ireland it's divided between the euro and the pound.
Ah.
Yeah.
So that's it. Do we have a video to play from Dick Medhurst, Johnny?
Right. Let's play this video. He was on RT's main show to talk about it.
Well, let's get some thoughts now from journalist Richard Medhurst, who was across what was happening in the court today.
Dick
Good to have you on RT. Richard, you saw Julian Assange via video link, but you're quoted as saying that you couldn't recognise him. Talk us through. How did he look?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. So, I was connected to the court remotely, and I literally did a double take. I couldn't recognize that it was Assange. He looked extremely old. He's wearing a white shirt, some glasses, his hair is ruffled, and he had a tie that wasn't actually on. He just really looks completely, pardon the rash assessment, he looks very awful and ill, and this is normal because the whole point of the High Court preliminary hearing today was to discuss his health, right? So we had extensive medical witness testimony during the extradition hearing at the Old Bailey back in September and October, and this was again brought up today, and it's going to be brought up again in October at the High Court, that his health has deteriorated. He's been tortured, as UN Special Rapporteur Niels Melzer has explained thoroughly. Various medical experts, psychiatrists have all corroborated this at the extradition hearing. I mean, there's really no doubt here, and I couldn't even recognize him at first, which is astonishing. It really did take me a minute, and I also heard him speak briefly at the end. Again, he did not sound very well, and this is absolutely normal given the fact that he's locked up in solitary confinement. He's been in arbitrary detention now for 7 years in the Ecuadorian embassy, 2 years now in Belmarsh prison. And this is a journalist who's not serving a sentence. He's not a criminal, and he's in a maximum security prison in Britain's Guantanamo Bay. I mean, someone needs to explain that to me, what is happening, because this is completely unjust, and it's a crime against press freedoms, and it's an affront against his personal health.
That this hearing took place at all is something that's really sticking in the craw of Assange's supporters. But
yeah, absolutely. He didn't do anything at all. All he is an example for the U.S. government to say, if you do this, all of you will end up like this. Yeah. And that's why more people should be outraged, especially with what's going on with us right now, how they're taking down videos, how they're censoring everybody. They're labeling you a, pro-Assadist, a Russian asset, everything that they can to discredit you. That is like the CIA playbook, to discredit, smear all those people telling the truth as conspiracy theorists, as the bad guys, simultaneously propping up the establishment tools, the talking heads for the state agencies. Yeah. And a lot of people on the left are falling for it.
Well, that's the thing. You see those people out there. All right, there's a decent amount of people there. That's not enough for this situation. There should be serious public outrage. This is about the First Amendment, ladies and gentlemen, and they care for that just as much in England as they do in America. People should be outraged in the street, but instead we have like those people you said on the left who were so concerned with pronouns and bullshit, and they've also taken the bait from the establishment. The fact is they still think that a lot of people have been fed this bullshit lie that Julian Assange helped Donald Trump get elected. Well, no.
There's no evidence of that.
I mean, WikiLeaks just gave you the truth.
The
Democratic Party helped get Donald Trump elected, even if it even was a fair election. Who the hell knows nowadays? It's so crazy. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. There should be more public outrage. We should be crazy in the streets, upset as can be about this, demanding the release of Julian Assange. What Julian Assange has done for journalism. He changed the whole game. You know what I'm saying? He presented you the truth. And that's what we should be looking for as human beings on this planet. We should always be wondering what the truth is so that we can know how we should adjust our living standards in society, because this is the truth. But if we're living off the lies and we're now echoing and repeating CIA talking points like a lot of the left is over here, I mean, this is American exceptionalism at its best.
Absolutely.
That they can argue over the pronouns you use rather than a man who's dying and being tortured, who's in jail. I mean, that was sad what Dick Medhurst said, was the fact that you can't even recognize this guy. That's sad, ladies and gentlemen. What Julian did for us, give us the truth when nobody wanted to, that's big.
And at the end of the day, I don't give a shit about what his ideology is or what he believed in. He is a journalist, and a journalist who told the truth. I mean, one of the best we had, WikiLeaks, again, just literally straight up documents exposing Western, not just the United States. Obviously, the UK and our allies have their dirty hands involved, which is why they're also cooperating with the US, exposing their war crimes. And that's something that we wouldn't be here today in the same vein we are without people like Julian Assange inspiring us. So really, more outrage, more continued protests, and I know we're going to have more of that coming in the next week with everybody talking about what's next in October. We'll see what happens.
All right, let's get on over to the next topic, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. We have 238 on the YouTubes. Like, share, subscribe, hit the whole thing. And on Rokfin, we have almost 70 people, 69 to be exact. People like Trey right in there and all of our loving fans. Thank you so much. Reeve Barker, of course, as well. Guys, get on over to the Rokfin, ROKFIN.
You're going to want to get over for the last subject.
Oh,
Trust
yeah.
me. We're going hard on that stuff.
But what we got over here, fam?
So do you guys recall that Cori Bush, when she's won the hearts and minds of Americans by staging this theatrics outside of the Capitol with police, being nice to people for once, and all the media being there, taking photo ops with Adam Schiff and Chuck Schumer, and all of this happening, right? When all of that happened and she saved the day, CNN then had her on and had this story about a woman who was saved by Cori Bush's eviction moratorium extension, her and her kids. And CNN reported on this. But according to the Daily Mail, this was a fake CNN story. And it was, CNN actually admitted it, by the way. So CNN and squad member Cori Bush have come under fire over a story that highlighted the struggle of a single mom of 3 facing homelessness who turned out to be just a children's babysitter. Dasha Kelly, 32, of Las Vegas, was featured in a segment last week with CNN reporter Nick Watt, who took a tour of Kelly's home. It promoted a GoFundMe she set up to collect rent, which has since raised more than $200,000 thanks to CNN's report, and repeatedly referred to her as the mother of Sharon 8, Kia 6, and Imani 5. So again, that's what they said in their report. But again, this woman is actually the babysitter, and the woman that came out, Shadia Hilo, is actually the mother. Said that, I am the mother, and then CNN released a correction according to this. But the whole time, the reporter was calling her calling the babysitter the mother. And before making the clarification, CNN even brought the woman Kelly back. They brought the woman Kelly back. Let me see, blah blah blah, with the children for a follow-up interview with Cori Bush, right? And this is, of course, with the extension of the eviction moratorium.
I remember this.
I highlighted it on Twitter a few days ago, and I was like, oh wow, look! As soon as Cori Bush does this, what do? They bring her on CNN. Here's a story showing how Cori Bush helped people, and the truth is that this woman is a babysitter. So CNN not only doesn't do research, right? They didn't verify who the mother was or anything. Multiple times interviewing this woman. The woman says she described herself to CNN as a mother because she's like a mother to the kids. But again, this should have been on CNN. They should have said that. And Cori Bush also posted this tweet. When I say your congresswoman loves you, this is what I mean. Kelly, I may not be your representative, but I love you, and I will not stop working to make sure you and every person in our country has what they need to thrive. So this was from the thing where Cori Bush was talking to them, she was being interviewed. So my whole point in showing this, right, isn't to bash this woman, because this woman still is facing eviction, right? The babysitter, she's still facing eviction. She's still poor, and she's whatever. She did what she did. I'm not bashing this woman. What I am saying is that CNN has millions of dollars. Supposedly some of the best journalists out there in the industry.
Come on, fam.
Fails. So they said in this article that they didn't see a need to not believe the woman. So they didn't do any investigation to confirm if she was. So either they knew that this woman wasn't the mother, or they are that bad at their jobs that they didn't know and they didn't care to do an investigation, and they posted this whole story, and then this woman did a whole GoFundMe over this whole thing. And Cori Bush, of course, all it was to make Cori Bush look like the heroine, when this isn't about her. Again, this isn't about her.
I'm going to go with number 1, by the way. They knew. Because what you said, they are the PR firms for the state agencies.
Yeah.
The PR firms. That's what they are. You don't get news with the mainstream media. You get propaganda, right? And this whole thought with your boy Matt Bender the other day, well, how can you say anything against it? They got an actual tangible gain with this extension of this moratorium. Well, first of all, it was nothing more than theater. And what did you get? All you did was kick the can down the road. If you listen to what Frank Analysis said, or Stank Analysis, as our boy TB says, people still owe money. People are still on the hook.
People are still getting evicted.
So you kick this down the road. What are you going to do to the people in 2 months? Oh, so they get to stay into in their places for 2 more months? That's the big victory, and then they get to get evicted? Millions of people, a tsunami wave coming? You got nothing. You got shit for this. And the fact is that you're going to settle, these leftists are going to settle for Cori Bush fighting to extend a moratorium rather than saying the words, Congress needs to cancel the rent.
Right.
That just shows you how far we fucking fallen, ladies and gentlemen.
And when you settle for crumbs, you allow yourself to really lose any sort of power you have. You're never going to get the things you wanted because you're settling for something so much less. And did this extension help anybody? Sure, I'm sure it helps some people. But it really is like he said, kicking the can down the road. You're not stopping the thing from happening. And also, by the way, it's not a tangible gain because people are still gonna have to worry about that. It's not a gain. And he couldn't mention any actual gain. He said, well, they've shifted the Overton window. That's all he said. That's all. That's what. Does that pay anybody's rent? No. Does that put food on the table? Does that pay your medical bills? No. So that's not a tangible gain. That's what I'm talking about. Tangible gains, economics. That's what I mean by that.
And they've also shifted the Overton window the other way when it comes to civil liberties.
They've shifted everything to the right.
Policy. They shifted it the wrong way. So, all you have is a bunch of giant virtue signalers. And the fact that AOC can go in there and go, yes, see what happens when we get out there, what we can do, what we can accomplish. We actually got a victory today. No, you didn't get shit because you know what? You're not going to get evicted in 2 months. All you did was give people 2 more months to be more freaking stressed out about what they're going to do in the future because you don't have a solid solution, an actual good solution for the future.
By it. They're not.
You have nothing.
They're not directly affected by it, so it's easier for them to just push it aside. You and Johnny were making fun of this last night.
Well, Johnny, when I showed this to Johnny, I'm like, Johnny, take a look at this.
This is
Congressman
what our politicians
Jamal
are doing.
Bauman, who I have to look more into the Julian Assange case, is what he had to say, which is a bullshit fucking lie. All right, because he knew he wouldn't be surrounded with somebody who would ask him about Julian Assange for a long time. But when he was put in a situation, first of all, if you have to ask, if you have to look into this shit, then you shouldn't be in Congress. This is freedom of speech, freedom of press. You should know damn well what this is about.
Yeah, they know.
So Jamal Bauman, who also boasted about Obama's endorsement, I got Obama's endorsement. I got one of the best imperialists of all time, fam, endorsing me. He said, hip-hop is the seed of black culture. It started on the Bronx corners and now transcends borders. You know who was on the corners of the Bronx? Yeah, I know Flowers. Senator Schumer and I introduced the hip-hop resolution to officially recognize the contributions of hip-hop to cultural fabric of America. Now, Johnny and I are hip-hop fans. We are 2 different generations of hip-hop fans. I was around when all these people in the Bronx, Boogie Down Bronx. I was listening to De La Soul yesterday and some old school hip hop and stuff. I love hip hop. I think it is part of the culture. I think it is something awesome that really had, at the time, it was like what Dr. Cornel West talked about with jazz. Jazz brought a lot of white people into the fold and say, holy shit, what's going on with this
Love
music?
Supreme.
Let me talk, you know what I'm saying? Hip-hop did the same thing. It did bring a lot of culture into play and stuff like that.
Yep.
But this is nothing more than fucking symbolism.
Yep.
You can go and say this shit, but you have to put up a resolution. You have to spend the time in Congress to do this shit, to get it done.
I think during a pandemic when people are fucking dying, people are getting evicted and stuff, there's more important things to focus on than a fucking resolution.
How about you help these people?
Than a resolution to name August 11th as Hip Hop Celebration Day.
Why don't you help the people?
I can celebrate this in the gulags with all my homies who listen to hip hop and shit. You know what I'm saying?
We're gonna celebrate this in prison. Is what these people are saying. Do you not see that the empire is falling apart and these people are giving you symbolic gestures so you shut up? Like, you want to help the people in the Bronx and these areas that are poor, working class communities that, of course, happen to be people of color, marginalized communities. You want to fucking help them? How about we stop putting them in jail? How about we legalize marijuana? How about we stop having slave labor, prison labor which is slave labor? How about we stop and say economics help people. Economics help people to get out of the fucking ghetto. Economics help people to get out of the drug world. People, like, you have criminalized poverty this entire pandemic. It's all been to criminalize poverty. We have it's now illegal to be homeless in Los Angeles. It is now illegal to have a tent out there. So what do you want people to do? How is a holiday celebrating the exploitation, by the way, because, you know, a lot of America loves to exploit black culture without doing anything to actually help black people and like working class people. Because when you help the working class, you help black people. That's the whole fucking point. That's not class reductionism. That's truth. Yeah. I'm not saying that racism doesn't exist, but what I am saying is you want to help people get out of poverty. That helps everybody. It helps black people. It helps ignorant white people who blame black people and immigrants. It helps everybody. They're not going to do that because they don't give a shit. So they just have to slap on some symbolic bullshit to say, oh, here we go, and pat themselves on the back. That's the neo-progressives. That's the liberals. That's your squad. That's all they will ever fucking do because they don't give a shit.
Yeah. See, like, you know, I think Max Blumenthal, who's now over on Rokfin, welcome to the platform. I believe Katie Halper's joining as well.
Wow.
Welcome to the platform.
Okay.
He even said, like, you know, and this is something that was going on when you had the discussion with Matt Binder. Like, you know, as a group, the squad, they can just sit there, you know, and say, okay, you know what? Because he was like, well, you don't have the votes. The Freedom Caucus have more votes and stuff. Bullshit. The squad members, the 6 people, you add Jamal. No, not Jamal. The 6 and Jayapal.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry, you know I can never say. You add her, okay? Now you can sit there and you can say, all right, listen, we're not gonna vote for anything until you take your pen out. And this is something that would help this community out. And what he's talking about, black culture, decriminalize marijuana.
Yeah.
Release everybody who's got a marijuana charge in prison right now today. And we ain't gonna do shit until we do this. He could have done that to really help out the people, you know, who are being imprisoned. When you talk about the racist ideologies of the prison industrial complex, you're talking about all these people from the 60s, 70s, and 80s that are rotting in prison over marijuana charges that are primarily black. You want to do something, do that. Not this symbolism of recognizing hip-hop. And don't do it with Senator fucking Schumer.
I know, right?
God.
Fucking kidding me.
Out of all fucking people, Jesus Christ.
The squad is a fraud, and this proves it.
Fraud squad.
Fraud squad.
I'm glad you're a poet and you know it.
Yes.
I
don't buy Chiba, I grow it.
Oh, Jesus.
That was the Beastie Boys.
I never got into the Beastie Boys.
Oh, my
They were
God.
Before my time.
People always trying to get next to me. I had a beautiful experience on Ecstasy.
Okay.
That's the Beastie Boys, too, as well.
Okay. Yeah, I should know that better, but I don't.
John, you got anything to say about the hip-hop world? Fam, we good on that section?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, let's get out of it. We got a couple Super Rays over here. Look at this. This is the Tarot Man, fam. Thank you for the Super Ray contribution, Eaters. Always appreciated on the couch. Fightback says, keep up with the good work.
Thank you, fams.
88 people on the Rokfin. Guys,
all right.
You have been so awesome at helping us grow this platform. We are so appreciative. Thank you so much. Thank you to all our Patreons out there, too, as well. Every month you guys come through. We do appreciate that as well. And if you're on the YouTube and you haven't found a way over to the Rokfin yet, please try to do so. But we want to let you know we love you over there, too, as well. Somebody, Tulsi 2020, says, yes, pasta, ha, 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 ha. And the Mob Squad is there by CyberDoc. There's so many cool people that we love you still on the YouTube. Just please understand the reason why we do pay attention to Rokfin is because YouTube still has us demonetized.
Yeah.
They haven't answered our request to get out of the doghouse, to get remonetized. So that's why we are rocking that platform over at Rokfin, because they also let us talk about the things we want to talk about. I mean, today's last section, we have to go on the Rokfin only because YouTube will put you in the virtual gulag, and we can't have that.
And fam, the wrong man is in prison, right? The wrong man is in prison.
The wrong man has been in prison for a while. There's a lot of people that like to lock up and stuff as well.
That's what I would do. When we establish a dictatorship of the proletariat, fam, this man is going to jail first. This one right here. This one and all of the warmongers. Every single one of them.
Well, I want to make sure that we have them at a trial at the same time. Like, I want Obama, Bush, Clinton, You know, I want them all up there.
Mm-hmm.
All of them up there. You know what I'm saying? Well, then we'll eventually get to Donald Trump and deal with his ass and stuff like that. But, you know, I want them all up there for display. Johnny, let's talk about this next section over here. I love the thumbnail for this one. You guys are going to love this too as well. Johnny, tell us what you got up there from Slow News Day. That's where we're at.
Oh, okay.
Do it in Steve's voice.
Johnny can't do Steve's voice.
Yeah, he can.
No, he can't.
Normally, you're not supposed to start your false flags till after Labor Day, but the Biden-Harris admin is all about breaking tradition and bold new ideas. So, CNN, Homeland Security, warns of potential conspiracy theory-fueled violence in August, this month. So there you go.
Yes.
So yeah, Steve's tweet, so that you guys can actually focus, is like, he's saying you're not supposed to start your false flags till after Labor Day. So he's calling this a false flag. So I put this in the photo like, oh shit, it's like something's gonna happen this month. Mm-hmm. Just kind of like how the insurrection kind of happened, the supposed insurrection, quote unquote.
Yeah. And they're talking about people who are still, once again, questioning the election. Mm-hmm. They've even actually mentioned Mike Lindell in this particular article and stuff like that. What Mike Lindell is doing now, I had a phone call the other day, and Johnny, I'll hand it back over to you real quick. But I just want to let people know I had a phone call with a a conservative election integrity activist, and they even said they wish that Lindell would just get the hell out of the way. Mm-hmm. The My Pillow guy. The guy's movie was almost unbearable. I couldn't watch it. He's blaming China right out the gate. But I think somebody got to him, and he recently did a panel with Dr. Shiva, and he was able to put up Dr. Shiva's work on display, and Dr. Shiva's a little bit more grounded, a little bit more centered, a little bit more nuanced than Mike Lindell.
Dr.
So a lot of
Shiva's
people are pushing back.
Got the education behind him as well.
Yeah.
He's running the numbers. He's like a PhD graduate and all this background. Yeah. But back to this article. So I'm going to read a little bit of it. It says,
Go ahead, brother.
The Department of Homeland Security, DHS, warned state and local authorities Friday about an increase in calls for violence online tied to election-related conspiracy theories, according to a law enforcement source. What source? In an effort to prevent online threats from manifesting in violent acts, DHS issued a public safety notification to reach law enforcement throughout the United States. So LAPD is getting this. Mm-hmm. New York PD is getting this. DHS is providing awareness of reports regarding an increasing but modest level of activity online, calling for violence in response to unsubstantiated claims of fraud related to the 2020 election and the alleged reinstatement of former President Trump. The public safety notification said, according to the source. It was first reported by ABC News. We're going to look at their article in a second. The warning, which does not contain a specific threat, comes amid a resurgence of false claims about the 2020 election, pushed in part by Mike Lindell, MyPillow CEO, and a close ally of former President Donald Trump, who has emerged as one of the most vocal proponents of these conspiracy theories. As public visibility of the narratives increase, we are concerned about more calls to violence. Reporting indicates that the timing of these activities may occur during August 2021, although we lack information on specific plots or planned actions. So it doesn't make any sense. This sentence doesn't make any sense.
It actually, they exposed themselves there, right? Like, they don't have any fucking solid evidence of anything going on at any date, at any time, with any people.
We like information.
You heard it through the wind.
Look. So we like information on specific plots or planned actions. So you didn't. You had specific information about what was going to happen in January 6th,
right?
And nothing was done about that.
No.
So now that they don't have specific information on specific plots, now they're going to do something about it. It doesn't make any sense.
We live in a fucking cartoon.
Do you guys understand
that?
Yeah. So, a department spokesperson told CNN that the DHS regularly shares information regarding the heightened threat environment with federal, state, local, tribal, and territorial officials to ensure the safety and security of all communities across the country. That's a bullshit line. DHS, the spokesperson confirmed the DHS put out this notification. There's a heightened terrorism-related threat environment in the U.S. So, remember, we covered this the other day, a couple weeks ago, the DVEs?
Yes, domestic violent extremists.
Yeah. So, just in general, even before this supposed, notification, they've already been there is already a heightened terrorism-related threat environment. And they know this because of how shitty the situation is, not just from the right, but from the left.
Yep.
That people are thinking about this.
Yeah.
There's a class, like, people are thinking about this. No one's talking about it because, you know, you get banned, right?
Yeah.
But I know people are thinking about this. So,
you have to read the one sentence though. This for weeks, because this is important right here, because you got to understand exactly what they're trying to do. Once again, when it comes to the election stuff, they're trying to lump them with this particular group.
For weeks, the federal government has been aware of online narratives focused on reinstatement, particularly on platforms associated with promoting conspiracy theories like QAnon.
There it is.
And forums where extremists tend to engage. There was a lot of fake shit from QAnon, but they did get some things right.
Well, that's because it's an FBI psyop, and it was made to discredit any sort of actual real critique of the system, of the elections, of anything. If you notice, what they're doing here is that they're equating any sort of questioning of elections to not only QAnon, but to Trump supporters, to right-wingers. The same thing they're doing with COVID. Oh, these anti-vaxxer, Trump supporter, right-wing fascists. If any questioning of coronavirus and all that crap is being equated directly to conspiracy theories. Do you see the pattern here? This is because they're an easy target. Why? And they bring it upon themselves too, Pasta. You said it yourself. When you make these BS claims, that's why we are here on the left. We get mad and we try to educate people. Don't say election, voter fraud. Say election fraud. Yeah. They stop focusing on China and the ghost of Hugo Chavez. How about we talk about what's really going on here?
How about we talk about Dean Logan, who was caught fucking with
in King County,
in
Seattle.
King County, and then got hired in LA County to run the elections there, right? Like
Absolutely.
That's
but that's why I feel like some of that on the right
software
is by design. I feel like there are people there that are set to make it look like a circus, so then the liberals come in and say, see, it's a circus, and so it gets completely thrown out.
The Arizona Audits Telegram chat, before it got crazy, in the beginning was so awesome. Like, they would actually have a voice chat. We would get on, we'd start talking, whatnot, and it was a group of people. Ellen Swanson, she recommended me in. But then it grew so big. Now we don't even know who's in there, and now it's just another QAnon chat. It really is. And there's times when I went in, I'm like, guys, what are you talking about? Could we please stay focused? And there'll be a lot of conservative people I knew that would be like, yes, why are you talking about this shit? Stay focused at the task at hand. Stop telling us to trust the fucking plan when we're just trying to get rid of the proprietary software.
Who was the Italian Senate?
Sonny Borelli.
Sonny Borelli. He was saying that. He was like, I don't know why they're focusing on that.
Yeah. Well, Sonny Borelli was saying that. Even Mark Fincham was saying stuff. Like, I don't know why they focus on certain stuff like that. They shouldn't. Like, that doesn't mean anything.
It discredits everything you're trying to do. It really does.
And the left has that too when it comes to stuff. The
when
right
it comes
has,
to Russiagate, when it comes to
the lumping is the problem and stuff. But
that's by design.
Exactly. Those guys are probably fucking the people who are doing that.
That's what I'm saying.
Probably like some
CIA,
COINTELPRO
FBI,
stuff. Some COINTELPRO stuff.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely, Johnny. And that, like, listen, we were kind of bashing a little bit on whatchamacallit, on Mike Lindell, because he's a little bit ridiculous. I mean, he's not crazy blown out there, like, talking about adrenochrome, but he does always talk about China about everything, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, dude, like, he was putting up stuff on his boards and his movies, and I was talking with Ellen. I'm like, dude, Ellen, he's not even telling us where he got this information from. He's just putting this information up like it's true, and he's immediately blaming China. And that's a problem we have, like Jovan Hutton Pulitzer, right? Like, who's got a lot of great things about him, because he understands the software, he understands the technology, he's been involved with it for a long time. But when he still makes his comments about fucking about communism and about bamboo ballots, it's like, dude, what are you doing? Yeah. We haven't seen any proof that these ballots are made of bamboo, but we have in 2 occasions now in Georgia and in New York where we've proven where there's test ballots made right down the street, put into the fucking machine
and run as real ballots. Counted as real ballots.
It's difficult for us because we're fighting a battle on 2 fronts. We're fighting the actual disinformation that's on the right and the actual disinformation that's on the Democratic side. I'm not going to call them left. And it's like we have to, like, say, no, election fraud is real. that our elections aren't democratic. We don't have fair elections in this country. But your accusations that it's an outlier, whether it's China or Russia, are also wrong. This is our country doing it. So it's difficult because we have to fucking dispel all this bullshit coming from all angles. Yeah. And we're like one of the only people doing it, like on the left. We're literally it. That's it. Nobody else is talking. When the whole Nina Turner thing, literally nobody talked about elections. Unless they were like, hey, the Convo Couch is mentioning a good point about elections. No, besides that stuff, nobody talked about
barely that. And no one looks into the election systems at all. Because I don't know why. Like, why wouldn't you want to know how supposed democracy runs in this fucking country?
Yeah. Even with the fact that the Democratic lawyers and Bruce Beaver said that we can go into the back room and pick whoever we want, that to me is like your golden nugget. Now you should be diving into every single aspect of elections like the Convo Couch does until we get it straight.
They never have an answer, though. You saw in the conversation with Binder when I brought that up, there was no answer. It was like, oh, yeah, that happened. Okay, so...
The data shows us. He just said,
but and then he said primaries is different than in general. They're different. And I'm like, they use the same goddamn election system. But general and primary use the same election system.
Right.
Yes,
that's proven in LA County. I proved that.
And it's the same talking points handed to them from the fucking establishment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or people within the establishments. But even Breaky does that stuff. He goes, the primaries where the real cheating occurs. Like, no, there's real cheating that occurs in the generals too as well. Everybody's scratching each other's fucking back
against grassroots candidates.
Yep. All right or left.
Right or left. So, real quick, in another sentence they had in here, in the current threat environment, DHS is especially concerned that lone offenders and small groups of individuals would potentially view these narratives as justification to act out violently. This is like, what is it, like pre-crime or something?
Pre-crime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because, okay. So,
there is a document that we should go over that we haven't gone over. I think Steve went over it on the whole section on pre-crime. By the way, that's a thing now.
They keep referencing saying there are calls for violence in D.C. and state capitals across the country, the source said, but the source doesn't actually give any fucking sources. You know what I'm saying?
None.
In addition to the false claims by Lindell, another conspiracy theory relates to the upcoming FEMA test of the nationwide emergency alert system. This is what I wanted to read. I was like, wait. So there's an upcoming FEMA test of the nationwide emergency alert system, according to the source, with some viewing it as a so-called go code. So maybe in the QAnons, they're like saying, okay, yeah, this is going to be a go code. I did not even know about this.
They
upcoming FEMA test of the National Emergency Alert System. Yeah, and it wasn't anything. Didn't Trump text you? Yeah, right.
It was like emergency broadcast testing.
Right,
supposed to be the signal to go.
Right. I remember I saw memes about that. People were like, "Oh yeah, Trump's gonna say what up" or something like something stupid.
He was gonna make the announcement that he's moving Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi to Guantanamo Bay to be put on trials by the U.S. military.
How do people believe this shit? I just don't understand.
Because
they're so brainwashed on both ends. They are.
I get it. But you know what? I mean, the fact is, we have a media that always lies to us.
Yeah.
That never tells us the truth. So people aren't going to believe anything. They're going to search for something that they can hold on and believe to. When you have a predatory class that gets away with murder, you know, and a lot of the people who are in QAnon, no matter what you say about them, their main issue is the whole pedophilia thing. Like, that's the main thing. They feel that Donald Trump was recruited to go after these pedophiles. So therefore, they think that this crime is so bad that he was going to actually get this straight. It's like Steve said. And these people think that Jesus.
Child sex trafficking and stuff like that.
That's their main fucking issue.
Which is true, but when you tie it to conspiracy, actual conspiracy,
well, yeah.
But that's
QAnon
the point.
Was a psyop and shit.
Right, that's the point. QAnon is a psyop. It is not real.
Some stuff they got right.
But that's
Epstein stuff.
by design.
Yeah.
That's
as far
why.
As I know, and then,
so they can conflate everything else.
Exactly.
Bits of truth in there with a lot of lies.
Yes.
So, in that article, they said the notification was first reported by ABC News. So, this is how you find primary sources. You click on that link, and then it says ABC News, Homeland Security warns of increasing but modest threat of violence from Trump conspiracy. DHS, look what it says under. DHS said it has no specific evidence of an imminent plot.
So why are you writing an article then? Why are you putting information if you have no evidence? Why are you telling us this? Because you want to shape the narrative.
Right.
And create more divide.
Right.
Exactly.
More fear. More fear. Because all the latte liberals are going to be like, oh, shaking their lattes in their hands.
Those cappuccino conservatives?
I support small businesses.
No, cappuccino communist.
Cappuccino
I'm
communist.
a communist there,
That's
please.
a cappuccino communist.
Cappuccino communist.
So this article began with a video, and I watched it to see if they used our footage, and it looks like they didn't. But I don't know. Just kind of wanted to go over this video.
On January 6th, thousands of rioters, many coming from Trump's Save America rally, stormed the U.S. Capitol as Congress met to certify the 2020 presidential election results. The insurrection resulted in multiple deaths, including an officer, dozens of injuries to law enforcement and rioters, ongoing arrests, and vandalism across the Capitol. Here's how the day unfolded. That morning, thousands gathered at the Ellipse near the White House to hear the president and his allies speak. Shortly before noon, President Trump addressed the crowd.
We will never give up. We will never concede. We're going to walk down to the Capitol because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength and you have to be strong.
Following his speech, the crowd then marched to the U.S. Capitol building, where initially only Capitol Police were stationed. Additional MPD officers would be called to assist by 1 p.m. At 12:53, a large crowd approached approximately 5 Capitol.
All right, so there's a lot of this information already said,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to go over all that,
Yeah,
but then
yeah.
Jesus.
but I wanted to point out here, like, look, there's only like what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cops there,
Yeah.
and like there's thousands of people, like
Thousands,
like
tens of thousands.
tens of thousands of people, like at the Trump rally, and we're only gonna have like 5 cops there
Yeah.
with a little fence.
When previous day we had 50 cops for 50 protesters
with assault rifles,
with
assault rifles.
So we didn't get the memo. Yes, you did. We have gone through this before. They got the memo. They didn't do anything about it. This was by design.
Right. So
The other thing, Johnny, go ahead.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to go back because we missed the audio, but the audience heard it. But I'm just gonna play and pause.
On January 6th, thousands of rioters, many coming from Trump's Save America rally, stormed the U.S. Capitol as Congress met to certify the 2020 presidential election results. The insurrection resulted in multiple deaths, including an officer, dozens of injuries to law enforcement.
Yeah, so they're framing it like the protesters killed people.
Yeah.
That's how they're framing
how they're
it, which
framing
is like completely wrong.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be allowed to publish that, and they are. They're publishing propaganda because nobody died as a result of that.
Yep.
Brian Sicknick did not die as a result of that. He died of an unrelated cause. The New York Times has had to make a retraction of that, but yet Biden, Democrats, and all of the media still use the same exact narrative to paint it as if he did. And the one person that did fucking died as a result of a Capitol Police officer shooting her dead, and that was Ashley Babbitt, who many people called me a fascist for saying she shouldn't have died just because she was a Trump supporter.
What are they using as proof that this officer died?
Oh, they used our video.
Oh, that's right. The Convo Couch's fucking video with the dudes.
No references to
none
to us or anything.
Zero.
Whatever.
That whole narrative that they're speaking now, that Biden speaks at the fucking G7, they wouldn't even have that narrative if they don't have our video. So
more lawyers, more dollars on the case is what we're doing.
Yeah.
What else? They said the only person that died. Didn't they say that the only person that died was a Capitol Police? Someone shot by Capitol Police? Or
Dozens of injuries to law enforcement and rioters, on deaths, including an officer.
No.
Dozens of injuries to law enforcement.
So they didn't even talk about.
No, they didn't talk. They don't count her
They don't
because she
count-
doesn't fit the narrative.
Exactly, because she
she's
was
the
literally
opposite.
shot by the state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was shot by the
state.
Yeah. And
So-
if all cops are bastards and you stand against fascism, that goes for people who don't agree with you on who they voted for in the fucking general, too, by the way. It doesn't change just because you don't like who she voted for.
I'm against state-sanctioned murder.
Yeah.
Period.
I'm against state-sanctioned murder.
Yeah.
State-sanctioned murder.
And they could have
Because
just
that's what
pushed
that
her
was.
or hit her.
They could have
or moved
tased her or
back.
something like
Tased
that.
her. They shot her right in the throat.
The same arguments that I make for any black man killed under cops is the same argument I'm making here. Period.
Well, I lost friends because they called me up, a dead Karen is a good Karen. Another
That's
Trump or gone.
disgusting.
No,
Like,
that's gross,
you're a
man.
fascist.
That's
That's
fascist
that's
talk.
not okay.
Yep.
It's not.
I still have that person blocked until he apologizes. Not to me, but to Ashley's family.
An officer, dozens of injuries to law enforcement and rioters, ongoing arrests, and vandalism across the Capitol. Here's how the day unfolded. That morning, thousands gathered at the Ellipse near the White House to hear the president and his allies speak. Shortly before noon, President Trump addressed the crowd.
We will never give up. We will never concede. We're going to walk down to the Capitol because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength.
Yeah.
They're
so-
lying right now about
so-
the timelines.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that. I have to verify that. But the whole narrative around Trump's speech was that he incited violence, if you guys recall that.
Right, but
so you would think this video would show the worst parts of his speech.
Yeah.
So they're showing the worst that they could to interpret it.
To fit
He
their
never
narrative.
said go and storm the fucking Capitol. He said
Yeah.
No.
go and make your voices heard.
Yeah.
You got to show
There.
strength.
We gotta show strength,
Yeah.
strength and unity.
If
Like,
Bernie Sanders said it-
said the exact same shit.
The left will love it.
I just want to get this on the record right now because I've been to a bunch of protests. These guys been to a lot more. Johnny, you've heard speeches before from people and everything else like that. We've heard politicians speak. We've heard people from Black Lives Matter have speeches and stuff like that. Are these speeches any that different than what Donald Trump said? I mean, yes, obviously the narrative is a little bit different,
The
but
ideology.
the actual general message is like, we're going to show strength. We're going to march to the Capitol. We're going
Right.
to let them know.
Yeah.
We're going to hear our voice. We're going to make demands.
Doesn't
we're not
matter.
leaving until
Make
we get
demands.
it. Right?
If
Make
you
I
agree
mean-
with them or not,
Yeah.
they have the right to say that. That's the thing. And by the way, he is lying about the time. They are lying about the timeline because they're framing it like Donald Trump said this, and then they march into the from the Ellipse
No.
into the Capitol,
Yeah, because
and
people
that's
already
not what
marching.
happened.
Yeah.
People were already there.
They were already
They
going
were,
there.
They were already there. We've talked about this from the day it happened. We
Yeah.
mentioned this.
Tracy Beans texted, like, what the fuck? We're not even to the Capitol yet. When
Yeah.
there were reports of shit going
Yeah.
on. If you play this video, Donald Trump didn't speak until after 12 o'clock, and he spoke for almost an hour.
Yeah.
We were walking back, listening to
I
the speech
remember.
as we talked. So those people wouldn't have left that fucking, the Ellipse until after 1 o'clock. They're saying, and they're going to say, wow, they're down there at 12:43.
He instructed them to go and to
Yes.
take over and stop our sanctimonious democratic process from happening. That didn't happen, dude.
Let me see if
that
I have
did
the
not
time.
So
happen.
the crazy thing, Paz, is that if we were allowed to live stream, if they weren't signal blocking,
Yes.
we would have like
Yes.
the timestamps.
Yes.
This is such bullshit, dude. Like that's how you know that fucking it was some bullshit that we weren't allowed to live stream and they were
Yeah.
signal blocking, which they do. They do that. Why is that legal to do in
Yeah.
the United States? It's a signal block. Let me press play.
Press play.
You
please,
have to
wanna-
be strong.
Following his speech, the crowd then marched to the U.S. Capitol building, where initially only
See?
Capitol Police were stationed.
Okay.
Additional MPD
You gotta
officers.
stop that right there.
Following his speech.
You're saying his speech was 0 minutes? It started a little after 12. He spoke, and following his speech, they were down there by 12:45. He spoke for over an hour, close to an hour.
Oh, yeah,
he
did
He
speak
laid
for a
out
while.
every single state, what was going on. It was
Yeah.
boring stuff, but it was election integrity stuff, and he was explaining how he was cheated. So they're really insinuating in this video right here, and they're fucking just painting a picture that's so untrue, that he started speaking at 12 o'clock and they started marching down. They got there at 12:45 because it was at least a 45-minute march, if
Yeah.
not close to an hour. That's how far away it would be to march from the Ellipse to the Capitol building. So you're saying they didn't listen to his whole speech? Just at 12 o'clock, they started taking off and they got down there by 12:45?
Right, like they
It's
marched
a fucking lie.
Yeah, no, yeah. So
Would be called to assist by 1 p.m. At 12:53, a large crowd approached approximately 5 Capitol Police officers standing at a fenced-off entrance near the Peace Monument. According to ABC News sources that day, many Capitol Police were armed only with mace and their sidearms. As the crowd pushed
Okay. How I don't understand
Yeah,
how they
no.
were only armed
Exactly.
with that when they had actual weapons, like for us.
like literally, like I'm gonna pull up the footage now.
Yeah, let's
like,
pull up the
day
footage
before.
because this is like. So you think that just was by accident? You think like I'm not even blaming these cops. This was from above their pay grade.
Yeah.
Like this is like above that. Like, guys, you need to understand that the United States has a history of manipulations, of operations all over the world. Do you really think they're not going to do it to you? Of course they are. Like, we were there. We're telling you what happened and what didn't happen. And I still have unreleased footage. That I was thinking of maybe, since it's almost a year from September 11th, like before September 11th, maybe we could talk about that. But I mean, look at how many people we had there, and there were cops everywhere. And I remember Jackson was there, and you were next to him, and I was with the megaphone, and you were like, Fiorella, like at the second day, I think it was.
This is the second day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to look through my footage. I have to find it later and stuff like that, but I know I have some timestamps about when we were looking at the ellipse. I can't be exactly sure, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm not going to put it out there now. I'm trying to remember what time we got there. What time did we get to the Capitol when we drove?
It was like 2 something.
Yeah, and we beat the crowd ahead of everybody. So this whole 12 o'clock to 12:45 thing is such a fucking lie. Like, you know what I'm saying? I can remember it was like after 2 we got there, and we drove there. We were listening to the rest of Donald Trump's speech as we were walking back we were walking away from the ellipse because we had listened for a while. We were there. We got to the car as he finished up his speech, took off, went to the Capitol, and got to the Capitol way before anybody who was marching even got there.
Yeah.
And that was way after 12:45. And guys, look how many police officers out there for Fiorella's speech.
So
Fiorella,
here,
this is your fault.
Here they didn't have the. I remember they had the guns when we were on this side. They had the assault rifles out. Over here, we were on this side. It might have been the day before.
Might have been the day before. Where we even had...
I remember they had... Like, this guy over here was standing with the assault rifle. I clearly remember that. I got footage of that. I remember I walked by it. Let me see if we can find it. Anyways, I'm looking for it.
Yeah. We'll find it, and we'll show it to you. But I just want to say, again, there's no way that tens of thousands of people, okay? Tens of thousands of people showing up and you're not prepared is like an accident. That's meant to happen because they know exactly what's going on. They saw us there for Force to Vote. They saw us there for Assange. And during the Assange rallies, there were like FBI cops and police cops all lined up down the street.
Yeah, this is DC.
There it is.
The heartland. He's got the area. He's got the assault.
Yeah,
Look.
got the assault rifle.
Look.
I even mentioned it. And he's got a handgun right there.
And a handgun. Did you see any of that at the fucking Capitol?
No.
No.
So explain that, naysayers.
Right
there it is.
Boom.
Right there. That's for us.
That's for us.
But at the Capitol, no.
That's okay. I get that because you know why? Because we are a threat. We are actually talking about, things that make politicians like the Squad and the Democrats and all these people look bad. They can easily turn the right-wingers into a bait to make them, oh, look at these fascists. So they're not really a threat to them. And the more they allow them to do things, the more they can turn them into the bait to be used for this surveillance state fascism that they're trying to push. That's why that happened. That's why, because a bunch of fucking, radical fucking actual, let's working class people uniting and demanding healthcare. This is the part that I didn't get to fucking talk about at the March for Medicare for All, because that was my whole fucking point. Because that is a threat. Like, people fighting for healthcare, people fighting for freedom of speech, that's an actual threat. You don't want the media to see that. You don't want numbers to get high. You don't want these people to actually go in and demand this, because those are demands that are going to not be seen as radical. Whereas with the right, they could take that, make it into a conspiracy theory, and use them to push this sort of fascistic agenda that they're doing. And that's exactly what they did. That's why they allowed it to happen. And that is the truth. That's what we have been saying since day one. That's what I was trying to say before I got cut off. And that is, that's the crux of it, guys. You're being manipulated.
There's the gun. Assault weapons.
Big rifle.
Yep. And they had there's the vehicles, all right? So you see the cop vehicles and stuff. They had a vehicle there. They had another vehicle down the way. They could come out with more guns. You know what I'm saying? It's right there, guys. It's right there. You didn't see any of that on January 6th.
And they were videotaping us. They had cameras out.
They were getting all our faces and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was terrible.
Just had to show that.
That part of the article, though, the way they did that, 12 and 12:45, is some lying fucking shit.
I'm sure there's some people there, but it's not like the whole crowd.
It wasn't like they heard his speech and said, "Let's go." They made it look like they heard his speech and they went marching
and he
down
signaled
right
to
away.
them like a Führer and was like, "Go and attack them." That's the narrative they painted. Yes,
like a Führer. Could you say it in German?
Fam, I don't do tricks.
A Führer.
The barricades over, the police were quickly overwhelmed. In contrast to other events in D.C. last summer, additional state and federal law enforcement was not pre-staged ahead of the riot.
No assault weapons.
Yeah.
No rifles there. Where's
Black
the rifles?
Lives Matter shows up and they have all the fucking gear.
DHS
Again.
out there, they got everybody.
You can't even argue this shit,
no, you
guys.
can't. The left fails in their argument of that because they're like, see, it's because the police are racist and they're all Trumpers, so they like them. No, that's not what happened. That's not what it was. It wasn't because of that. It was because they were told not to. They were told to not have these weapons, to allow this to happen, to make them look like the victims, and these people look like, oh, they're coming in. And then they said that there were bombs, that there were weapons. There was no weapons found by any of these people. They had that mace is the worst thing that they had.
They show here, and I wanted to do more research on this.
Protesters began swarming other entrances of the Capitol, breaking through barricades and continuing to push further toward the building. Inside, Congress began their session with Vice President Pence presiding.
Are there any objections to counting the certificate of vote of the state of Arizona?
I will vote to respect the people's decision and defend our system of government as we know it.
During this time, explosive devices were reported outside the DNC and RNC headquarters.
At this time? See, this is the shit there.
I want to verify this. I want to verify this. I didn't hear about this.
Oh,
yeah. I didn't hear about
this video.
By the way, Johnny, they didn't have the footage of the person walking and putting in that.
Right.
Remember, they lost the footage.
Right. In DC, the most fucking surveilled fucking
they don't have
city
this
in the
footage.
whole fucking in the country, right?
Yeah.
So
and they're literally pulling people left and right who were at the Capitol that went inside because they could find them.
But they couldn't find that.
But they can't find the guy walking or the guy or the girl, whoever went and put this pipe bombs by where, and this is where we were the couple days before, right by their offices, I believe.
No, this is the DNC headquarters, and I have no idea.
Oh
where
yeah,
this,
so
I have
we
no idea where that is.
We
I have no idea where that is. So, all right, let's keep going.
Meanwhile, rioters continued to surround the Capitol, taking photos and waving flags. One video shows rioters streaming past barricades with officers standing by. An audio message from around 2 p.m. warned
Right, so they show that video where officers just let them through.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go.
Okay.
congressional staffers and reporters to stay away from windows and doors. Between 2 and 2:30, rioters broke through multiple entrances and began pushing further into the building. By 2:30, rioters breached security and made their way into the Capitol through windows and doors. Crowds began pouring into the rotunda, crypt, statuary hall, and other locations. On the chamber floor, the House recessed and told members to lock down and shelter in place.
They broke the glass? Everybody stay down! Get down!
Around 2:45, members of the Capitol security team barricaded the entry doors to the chamber. Congress members retrieved gas masks from underneath their seats. And
so I want to know if it's standard procedure that they have gas masks under their seats.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right? Why were gas masks under their seats?
Yeah, because I want to figure that out. So
yeah, I'm not sure about that. Mm-hmm.
You know, Johnny, there's still hours of footage from inside they haven't released.
Yeah.
So, hours.
Oh, and this is about the time that we arrived at the Capitol.
Yep.
Tear gas has been released into the rotunda. Outside the House chamber in a stairwell, protesters attempted to get into a secured hallway. One woman, Ashley Babbitt, was shot by a Capitol policeman.
There we go.
Died. Around 3 p.m., one video shows an officer stuck in a doorway as rioters try to push through. By now, hundreds of rioters occupied the Capitol, roamed the halls, sat at Speaker Pelosi's desk, and vandalized the building. As the insurrection continued, support from more than 18 local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies began to arrive. They tried to dispel the violence using tear gas and flashbangs to move the protesters out of the building. By mid-afternoon, many political leaders and allies of President Trump called on the president to make a statement and denounce the protest.
I tried to call the president immediately, and I've tried a number of different ways to get him.
I call on President Trump to go on national television now to fulfill his oath and defend the Constitution and demand an end to this siege.
At 4:17, more than 2 hours after the violence began, President Trump tweeted a minute-long pre-recorded video speaking directly to the protesters.
You have to go home now. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you.
Earlier in the day, Mayor Bowser implemented a 6 p.m. curfew, and rioters now dispersed. By 8 p.m., senators resumed session in the Senate chamber to confirm the electoral results.
Today was a dark day in the history of the United States Capitol. The violence was quelled. The Capitol is secured, and the people's work continues.
Congress worked through the night, and at 3:39 a.m. certified Joe Biden as the 46th President of the United States.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be the President and the Vice President according to the ballots that have been given to us.
Brian Sitnick again. Brian Sitnick.
So there you go.
Jesus Christ.
Purpose of the joint session.
It's a good summary to
To
kinda
debunk,
and go through. And there's some things
Yeah.
they got right in there, but there's a lot that they did not.
Vast majority they didn't.
Having concluded pursuant to Senate Concurrent Resolution 1, 117th Congress, the chair declares the joint session dissolved.
It's not that this didn't happen. It happened. It's how they're framing
How
it
they're
that it
framing the
happened.
whole thing, yeah.
That's
This was an attack on our democracy.
poor Nancy
Oh my
Pelosi.
God.
Okay, let me just paint this picture. Imagine us, all of us, all the Force the Vote people, all the March for Medicare for All the people storming the Capitol, demanding Medicare for All, demanding a $15 minimum wage, demanding freedom of the press, the freedom of Assange, demanding all these things. How would that look? Do you think for one fucking second that they would just stand there with little batons and tear gas and just no, guys.
They wouldn't have like backup on backup on backup ready to go like they have been the whole summer for BLM protests.
Yep.
Come on. Think about that for a second. Think about how this was manufactured to allow to happen. And that's what I mean. We, the working class, the people, need to actually do things like this, right? And now we can't, or we can, but we will be, I mean, the whole thing is guarded and gated unless Cori Bush and AOC have a PR stunt there.
Yeah.
Then it's open. But besides that, you're going to be tear gas, you're going to be labeled a domestic violence extremist, you're now censored, all of this that was by design. You know why? Because they know that people are fucking fed up, that people are poorer, that people are just distrustful of the current system. So they had to do that. And now COVID, checkmate with COVID, because now you can't argue anything against that at all. So that's where we're at.
And you know what's hilarious? In this article, they say, so it says, the DHS said Friday, observing increasing but modest level of activity online, calling for violence. And then, there's no evidence that shows that there was widespread voter fraud in the 2020 election. You know what? Voter fraud.
Yeah, there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud. They're right.
Yeah, good job.
There's evidence of widespread election fraud.
Election fraud.
They were technically right, Johnny.
Technically.
That's why they do this, guys. God damn it. It's so hard to do our jobs here.
And no one knows the difference, right? So, except for our lovely audience in the Convo Couch, you guys know the difference between voter fraud and election fraud. So, what's the next thing that you had in there?
No, that was just the Glenn Greenwald stuff now too as well, because we have to.
We'll make that one section there.
All right, yeah, we'll just let's put. Yeah, we'll get some thumbnails made for the other ones. We'll get it done, and we'll section it off in the folder. So, but this other quick section too as well. Let's talk about this, Johnny, because this is the rules don't apply to you.
Yeah.
Hey, excuse me. The rules apply to you. They don't apply to me.
Yes.
You know, this is exactly what's going on.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Exactly. Yeah. So, what do you got, Johnny?
As everybody knows, Obama had his 60th birthday
Happy
bash.
birthday, Barack Obama.
I did not know this was happening. A New York Times reporter on CNN justifying Obama's huge maskless birthday bash because he only invited a, quote, sophisticated vaccinated crowd. Is about as emblematic of liberal discourse as it gets. What happened to all the concerns about vaccinated people passing Delta to the unvaccinated? So you guys just gotta watch this. This is kind of...
It's disgusting.
This is the Martha Vineyard crowd.
Yeah. But before you play it, let's just reiterate how they've been telling us the reason why the COVID's spreading is because Trumpers don't wear their mask, that we're not taking it serious, that we're not social distancing.
Yeah.
We have to close down the restaurants. In fact, we're not going to make laws that if you want to go into a restaurant in New York or California, or is it LA, you have to have your papers. Your vaccinated papers to prove that stuff. That's how serious this COVID is, and the people need to take it serious. But Obama, no, it's a sophisticated vaccinated crowd, fam.
Other people said, this is really being overblown. They're following all the safety precautions. People are going to sporting events that are bigger than this. This is going to be safe. This is a sophisticated vaccinated crowd, and this is just about optics. It's not about safety.
All right, Andy Carney, thanks so much. We'll see how it plays out.
Great pushback, Jim Acosta. Great pushback.
Yeah, great. Optics only apply to the elite. Like when the elite are told like, oh, you should be wearing your mask, then it's just optics. This isn't about safety. But when poor people say, hey, like you're making us do all of this and you have no evidence to say that this is actually going to stop the spread of the virus, how dare you endanger my grandmother? How dare you be so selfish and not care about anybody but yourself? It's just a piece of cloth. Just put it on and comply. Like, do you see the fucking what I'm saying here? And you can go to my tweet, Johnny, and it got a lot of play because we'll go to it in the next section. Actually,
yeah. Because I want my tweet too as well up there as well. For the last section.
But yeah. But no, it's like. This is a two-tiered society where Barack Obama, Martha's Vineyard, and all those people get to do whatever the hell they want, and the rules do not apply to them.
And that's why QAnon was so... People paid so much attention to it because they just wanted accountability from these people who were just on another different class and level and stuff like that. And these people were clinging on, oh, these people are going to finally pay a price like everybody else is accountable in the United States.
Right.
They're going to have to be held accountable.
That's why it's a psyop, because they use people's anger
and emotions
to push something that will discredit the very things they're trying to prove. And that's why we can't fall for things like that. You have to go with the truth, the logic, with everything, all sides of everything. You can't
ideology.
Run on your ideology. Exactly.
No red blue team. So then Glenn Greenwald says, yes, it's a pandemic and a crisis, but let the sophisticated people have their fun.
What's wrong with that, fam?
And then he says, seems like the New York Times stamp of approval for Obama's opulent, massive indoor maskless party for the, quote, sophisticated people is a bit at odds with Dr. Fauci's demand this morning that motorcyclists stop acting like spoiled children by gathering outside. So I guess we can watch this.
Yeah, we should, because it's got big-time news, man. Chuck Todd, America's hero.
You've brought up regionally the South, but out in the plains, in the Great Plains, we have Sturgis, South Dakota. There's a gathering right now of some 700,000 people. Last year, it was a smaller turnout, and it was over about 150,000 people, and it led to a massive outbreak in the Dakotas, where they became number 1 and number 2 for essentially the rest of the calendar year of cases. What do you expect this rally to do to that part of the country?
Well, I'm very concerned, Chuck, that we're going to see another surge related to that rally. I mean, to me, it's understandable that people want to do the kinds of things they want to do. They want their freedom to do that. But there comes a time when you're dealing with a public health crisis that could involve you, your family, and everyone else, that something supersedes that need to do exactly what you want to do. I mean, you're going to ultimately be able to do that in the future, but let's get this pandemic under control before we start acting like nothing is going on. I mean, something bad is going on. I mean, we've got to realize that.
Oh my God, something bad's going on, you piece of crap, Fauci. You've been doing fucking coronavirus testing for years.
Yeah, anyways, so the New York Times reporter in the clip reached out to Glenn and asked that you watch the full video, which he also highly recommends. Just watch how differently Obama's tented, maskless, opulent party is discussed on CNN as compared to less sophisticated and liberal gatherings. So I want to watch the whole thing. I mean, it's like a 4-minute thing.
Let's do it.
It's not that long. So here it is. And give me a second.
Two-tiered society. That's what we're creating. Two-tiered society. It's all under the guise of safety when they don't care about you. I have literal progressives and people who consider themselves leftists arguing with me that to trust in the very same agencies and the very same people that you complain about on the daily, that you say don't care about you, that refuse to give you health care for all, yet questioning them is wrong, and like I'm the problem here. Like, do you realize how contradictory that thought process is when you don't when you don't apply consistency to your arguments? Like, it's not logical. There's an emotional aspect there that is being exploited because they know they can exploit the left on their emotions and say, oh, they're going to abide because we give them the you're killing our grandma thing. And that's what they do. And they say, you're so selfish because you're not killing this immunocompromised people, blah, 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 blah. Like, there is nothing that proves anything about all that stuff.
Fam, we guys saved that. Yeah, so the video's not loading. Okay. So there you go. There's one more that Glenn Greenwald said here that was really good.
He had a great
tweet.
thread on this, by the way.
He said the party was not indoors. The videos from guests that were all deleted, but not before the internet saved them, showed them inside tents, and you can see all the pictures for yourselves here. Okay, let's look at that. While that loads, here's Biden's climate crisis czar, John Kerry, arriving on his private jet to attend Obama's maskless party. There's that. And then remember these two tweets from Vox's posted on the same day, less than 12 hours apart, with opposite COVID messaging based on who is sophisticated in his mind and who isn't. The moments when they let their guard down inadvertently reveal how they think they are vital. So look at this. So this guy, Aaron Rupar, it's a party time outside the White House, and then the same day, not ideal during a worsening pandemic. So
they've been doing this shit the whole time.
It was some NFL stuff, and then
yep.
Yeah.
So that's from 2020.
If it's aligned with their ideology, it was okay, right? Yep. But if it's not, it doesn't align with their ideology, they're having a super spreader party.
Right.
That's the way it's always been with this whole thing throughout this whole pandemic.
Yeah, Misty recently went to a Jimmy Dore show. And one of the first things that one of these, faux commie accounts mentions is like, why are you why is everyone not masked? Out of the whole thing, she's talking about, hey, this is great, blah, blah, blah. Why aren't they masked? That, like, what are you? And I said, all cops are bastards. Including you. She was fucking policing these people going to a show. And then Missy was like, yeah, well, masks were required, but we were drinking and eating, so... Like, why? Do you not realize how stupid you're being? Like, I'm so sick of these people. They play so well into the games from the state agencies and those in power.
Yep. Well, the problem is that everybody's so tribal, they play team sports, and... That's what we have.
So this is the tweet that didn't show up in his tweet thread that I retweeted that. He says, can't remember an episode that has revealed quite as vividly how liberal elites really see the world than those having to defend Obama's opulent, maskless indoor party as his weakened estate. Someone should put this in a museum to show the rot in the prevailing elite faction.
Yeah.
Because that's what's... I really like that
elite.
tweet because fucking this shit is... It's so true.
But then
This tweet right here.
Yeah.
Like, can't remember an episode that's revealed. This is revealing about how the liberal elites see the world. Like, this is how they see the world. This is their little bubble they're
They
in.
think we're less than them.
Yes.
They think that we're less than them.
And by playing into their game, you play into that exactly the same way.
It was because of this. Because the left liberals spent a full year relentlessly COVID shaming anyone who went outside, unless for liberal protests or questioning Fauci. But now that their icons threw themselves in an opulent indoor maskless party, they announced that only pettiness or jealousy would make you notice. So Emma said,
of course.
Joy Reid too.
Caring about Obama's birthday party in either direction seems like a waste of energy.
Of course it does, Emma. You're
And
rich
then
little girl.
Joy Ann Reid. I feel like the people tweeting Obama variant with the most frantic rage are mostly mad that their unvaccinated spurned by the cultural urses would never ever get invited to a party at that level.
Of course.
Also, my guess is they're cool if the unvaxxed and unmasked at Sturgis and would run to a Mar-a-Lago and trip and fall on the way there, get up and keep stumbling and run into Palm Beach to be in an unvaxxed maskless mixer with the golden calf. I guess she's referring to Trump there.
Yeah.
His weird kids and all the COVID droplets available to share. Just
Trump-
some thoughts on this sentence.
Trump-
Just some thoughts.
He pushed Operation Warp Speed. Like, and when
He's the one that pushes vaccine to happen.
Yeah, literally. So, what are you talking about here?
The Trump vaccine. It's the Trump vaccine.
But that's the thing. And when he did that, the same people urging everybody to take it were urging everybody not to
take it.
Exactly.
Do you got like
they flip flop just
I
because of
cannot-
which team is in the fucking house?
get me out of here? What? Where are we? What world is this?
Johnny,
can't-
I play team sports.
So then after that, he says, according to Joy Ann Reid, if you find anything distasteful or noteworthy about Obama throwing himself a gigantic maskless indoor party at his 12 million weekend estate, as restrictions intensify, which is what's happening, it just means you're an unsophisticated, poor loser, angry you weren't invited. And then this is where this shit really, those tweets should be put in a museum, like especially Joy Ann Reid. Did like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
she used to
terrible,
be like a friend of the working class too. Like when she first started, I was excited about Joy Ann Reid. I was excited about Emma when she did her work, but now it's like, wow. You can tell what people are in it for, the actual cause of bringing forth real news and information, and which people are just doing it for their own personal fucking status. And Joy Ann Reid and Emma are cool because they're they don't have to suffer anything that the poor class do, so they can talk like we're just among the
Ken
plebs.
Klippenstein also said the same thing, like about Obama. Who cares about Obama? Da, da, da. Oh, who cares? It's only when they do it. No. But if a Trump supporter did it, you'd have every facet to be bitching about how they're blah 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 blah. And this isn't about defending their fucking ideology for the 9th billionth time. This is about the double standard these liberals are playing into, and these leftists allow themselves to be played in the same vein. Because at the end of the day, it's about the upper class, the predator class versus us. That's it. End of story. Both of them are on the same
This
side.
reminds me of Gavin Newsom, right? He has a speech about people wearing masks, and the next thing you know, hours later, he's caught in a Napa restaurant with a bunch of people without masks.
And that was
Nancy
like
Pelosi
peak pandemic.
getting her hair done. While the rest of us plebs couldn't do our fucking hair.
They had to close all the... Remember when you want to get your nails? How many times you want to get your nails and you couldn't get your nails done because...
Oh, I mean, it's not even about that. It's the fact that the rules don't apply to them.
Yeah.
That's it. And you're closing down small
businesses,
screwing people's fucking entire livelihood while the same rules don't apply to you. And then who gets the money? Oh, that's right. Big corporations get the money. Gavin Newsom's friends.
It's a joke what we have going on in this country. A joke. Johnny, anything else on this subject?
Nope.
All right, I got some super rays to read, guys. Thank you so much. You got anything else on this subject?
No.
All right,
we got to get to the last
We're
one.
like the rest of the plebs. Just know your place. Lucky Burrito A&M. Every time you squeak the llama, my little dog Leo comes running. Okay, let's track it out. It's so cute. Hey, Leo! Leo!
Send us a video.
Send us the video, Leo!
Stop.
Pasta, oh my God.
It's so cute. Thanks for all you do. On the Lucky Burrito Shopify, we have an Assange and Commander X necklaces and magnets to raise money for the indie media and Commander X's Commissary, Lucky Burrito, Shopify, Pasta to Hell and Back tonight. Not tonight. We will be picking it back up next week. Chuck Simon, thank you so much. Great work as always. Please speak with Marxist economist Michael Hudson to get a different take than Max on Bitcoin. That would be an amazing interview. Keep fighting on the Convo Couch. And that is, his name is Michael Hudson. So we'll take a look. Ungi's here. Thank you so much, Ungi, for the Super Rate contribution. Look at Ungi. No offense to anyone who can't afford to kick these guys a couple of bucks, but with 91 people watching and only $8 in the tip jar, well, the dude does not abide. The dude does not abide. So I'm putting my bowling money where my mouth is. Dude, let's go roll. These guys bring us stories we would never hear. So let's do what we can do with reason to keep this channel going. Even a $2 tip means a lot. P.S. Shut the fuck up, Donnie. That was from the movie.
By the way, Ungi, if you want to see something funny, have me go bowling with you. I suck at bowling. It is just hilarious. I'm terrible. Absolutely awful.
Yes.
I just want to lay that out there.
Susan A. and I can beat you all in bowling. I was on the bowling team.
Of course you were.
Thank you for the Super Rate contribution.
Duh.
It is always...
Look at them. Annoying people.
Please appreciate it.
I bet you have your little, bowling,
My paisan Peter DiLorenzo, thank you for the Super Rate contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch. And
Italians are canceled, thanks to Cuomo.
Okay, don't start. Keep left. Thank you for the Super Rate contribution. Blockchain voting. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Blockchain tabulation. Hello. More options to vote for. Lesser evils plus ranked choice voting plus public hand counting before the vote can be verified. All are needed. You're damn straight. You know, everybody talks about ranked choice voting, and of course I want to have ranked choice voting. We have a lot more things to fix when it comes to the proper tabulation of our machines, but if you implement all this stuff, when you have a blockchain verification, we have ranked choice voting, when you have public hand counting as an audit right after, where it's casted, where it's counted, you're going to secure up the elections like there's no tomorrow, and we will change the whole look of the government, the state, the country, the world. Trix, thank you for the Super Rate contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch.
You guys really love to see me suffer.
And Arem, thank you so much, Arem. The reality is that the establishment and corporate tech monopolies are successful keeping messaging narratives.
Successfully.
And what's that? I said successful. Successfully keeping messaging narratives and existence of leftists, such as Convo Couch, away from significant positions of voting and media portions of voting and media consumers. D-partisans will not accept my candidate who is not presented by establishment media. That goes for rationales for contextualizing policy, strategies, and congressional votes too.
Yeah,
and that's
D-partisans will not accept any candidates who is not presented by establishment media. That goes, yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Arem. I appreciate that. And Robert Escobar is here. I agree with you guys 100%. We need transparency in our elections. Why are you the only ones talking about this? Well,
because people don't want to be pushed as conspiracy theorists. It's a wonky subject. There's a lot to learn. Most people don't know anything about it.
It's not sexy. It's boring. Team Leaves. I remember when Fee reported on this insurrection on Niko's podcast. She called it a fucking psyop. Thanks for being a witness.
Yes, Tea Leaves.
Thank you, Tea Leaves. Thank you, Chip Walter. Thank you, Convo Couch, for your on-the-ground coverage, and it's only going to get better this year, Chip. We don't care if they try to keep us indoors. We're going to get out there and do the work. A-Nation 61. Thank you for the Super Rate contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch.
Misha Q, thank you for the Super Rate contribution. It is always appreciated on this very nice couch.
And Jilly Love. Love you, badass fam.
I could
Jilly
not
Love.
take you saying it.
We love. What do you mean? You should let me say these things. I don't know why you're doing that, guys. By the way, we have 140 people watching already on the Convo Couch Rokfin. We have 98 thumbs up, only 1 thumbs down, only 1 troll in the house today. We at least got to get 1. Almost 300 watching on YouTube's. Guys, get over to the Rokfin now. Here's your last chance.
We go.
ROK.
You're gonna want to know about this.
This is a good subject. So we are leaving everybody else in 3, 2, 1.
By Twitter.
By Twitter.
By Twitch.
By Twitch.
By Facebook.
By Fascist Book.
Oh, Jesus.
By YouTube.
By YouTube.
Get on Rokfin. The link's in the pinned comment.